The 75 years of India's independence. VEERGATHA project was launched to inspire school children by making them aware with stories of war heroes and brave hearts. The project aimed to disseminate the details of acts of valor and life stories of the personnel of the armed forces, other lawfully constituted forces, and civilians among the students. With great joy and immense exultation, to honor the acts of bravery and sacrifice of the officers, Salwan Public School Gurugram welcomes you to the felicitation ceremony for VEERGATHA Project 2.0. The motto of Tamsoma Jyotirgamaya, which is adorned on the summit of Salwan Education Trust, is the very essence of the trust's ethos. To spread the light of knowledge and understanding, to dispel the darkness of ignorance, and to forge ahead with courage. Amid the chanting of mantras, let's invoke the approbation of Almighty to formally initiate the event with the lamp lighting ceremony followed by an invocation dance. I request the dignitaries to come forward for the lamp lighting ceremony. answers. I would like to request the motivational source of our school, respected Principal Ma'am, Ms. Rashmi Malik, to kindly accord the green welcome to the guest and address the gathering. I would like to request Ma'am to address the gathering.
Thank you so much, Vita. Good morning, sir. Good morning, children. Good morning, everyone. It's a very special occasion today, and I'm so thankful to the Government of India, Ministry of Defence and Ministry of Education for giving us this opportunity to formally welcome Brigadier Bawa here. And children, you must be having a question mark on your mind that why this session today. This is only to motivate all of you. This session, you all know that we in Salwan Education Trust, take many trips to Kargil and other defense establishment just to motivate you, just to make you aware what all is going in, the kind of effort which the Defense Services of India is doing, right? And we have one person over here who's actually seen the Kargil, and he's written a book also on his experience. So he's been very kind to gift us that gift, that book also. We'll be putting it in the library. Of course, first I'll read, and then maybe if sir allows me, because General Agarwal has it. So we'll finish out the book faster and we'll keep it there. And I would also request, sir, if you could just tell us from where to, buy more books, so that we can, get more books for our library, for the students to go through the experience which you have gone through your eyes. And our children go almost every year to Kargil, and they do the retelling over there with the teachers, and they know about the defense services a lot. As sir was already telling you that we have some Mandivas also, and we are very closely associated with defense services. So that is one thing, but then this VEERGATHA project is another one. I hope you know what is VEERGATHA? Yes? If you're sitting here, I'm sure that you know about it. And we have all the students connected through Zoom, in their own classrooms also right now. So the entire school will be listening to you, your experiences, and I'm sure that they'll all get motivated. At least they will have a hands-on experience of what exactly happens up there when the war is there, when the fight is there. And it's not going to be a Bollywood movie, and I'm sure of it. Thank you so much, sir. Formally, we welcome you again. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Music is to the soul what words are to the mind. Let us welcome the school choir to present a melodious performance which erupts the feelings of devotion towards our country in our souls. outstanding performance. Courage is rightly considered the foremost of the virtues, for upon it all others depend. We are fortunate to have among us Brigadier Umesh Singh Bawa. Brigadier Umesh Singh Bawa, Vir Chakra Sena Medal, is an alumnus of Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. He studied at Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan for 8 years and finally passed out of the school in 1974. Thereafter, he joined National Defence Academy, Khadakwasla for 3 years and finally passed out from the Indian Military Academy, Dehradun in June 1978 and joined 17th Battalion, the Jat Regiment. He commanded 17 Jat during Kargil War in 1999 and was awarded Vir Chakra for his gallant actions in the war. His unit captured the Pimple Complex part of Point 4875 in Mashko Valley. He has served the Indian Army with pride for 35 years. He did his PhD from Lucknow University in 2006. He has also authored a book, Mashko Kargil as I Saw It, in which he recounts his true war experiences. He finally retired from service in December 2013 as a brigadier, a true scholar warrior who excelled himself during the war as well as in academics. He is now settled in Gurugram along with his wife, Miss Indu. The delicate balance of guiding someone is not creating them in your own image, but giving them an opportunity to fund themselves. I would like to request Brigadier Umesh Singh Bawa to kindly apprise the students by sharing his innumerable experiences and enlighten them with your journey in the valleys of Mashko, Kargil.
Thank you very much for such a nice introduction. I am really grateful to the director and the principal and the staff who have given me this opportunity to speak to the students of Salwan Public School today. Firstly, let me congratulate the whole management for display of a beautiful band and mesmerizing dance and melodious song that was given by the school students. It was really very, very good performance by each and every one of you. Now, on a serious note, I shall share the experiences of war which was fought in Kargil area in 1999. I was in the line of fire and I was commanding 17th Battalion, the Jat Regiment. The Jat troops that we have belong to Uttar Pradesh, Haryana and Rajasthan. They are tall, hardy people, physically very strong and very good soldiers. Now I shall tell you that I will cover my talk in 4 parts. Firstly, I shall briefly cover the background of the war. Then I shall tell you what happened before the war. And third part will be what happened during the war. And last will be what happened after the war. Coming on to the first part, Kargil was fought from May 99 to 26th July 99. Initially, the Pakistani soldiers, they intruded into the Indian territory by stealth and occupied the heights of the Kargil area which were not held by us. They were sitting on top and interfering with the movement of our vehicles, which were going through National Highway 1 Delta connecting Srinagar, Dras, Kargil and Leh. We were not able to move our vehicles during daytime, and we were forced to move our vehicles for stalking Leh Ladakh area during night. Therefore, it was necessary to remove these intruders from the unheld areas which they had occupied. The sad part was that our intelligence agencies could not detect the intrusion in time. That's why we had to physically assault and remove them. My unit was asked to induct into the Mashko Daras area. Mashko is a valley and it has a high features which range from 16,000 feet to 17,000 feet, a high altitude area. The highest point was 0.4875, almost 17,000 feet high. When we were told to go to the Mashko Valley, I was actually very excited that time that at last I'll get a chance to see the war zone. And I rang up my wife, who was staying here in Vijay Ratan Vihar, Sector 15 that time, and told her excitedly that we are going to the war zone. I could feel the uneasy calm in her voice, because every day they were seeing television in which lot of bombardment and artillery fire was taking place, in that area. At that time, I realized that as a soldier, the duties of a soldier is in direct conflict with the duties of a parent and a husband. As a soldier, you have to lay down your life or be ready to lay down your life for protecting your country, and for a parent and a husband, you got to survive and for them and make them grow in life. Anyway, these illusions, faded away after some time when I got engaged into the planning process of the war. 22nd May, I was told to induct my unit into the Mashko area. I was located about 100 kilometers away. I was given about 80 vehicles, trucks, army trucks, in which I carried my unit over a period of 2 days and reached Mashko Valley. Mashko area, as I told you, the highest peak was 0.4875, which was overlooking the road, National Highway 1 Delta, where all the movements of our logistic movement used to take place. There was no vegetation in that area. There were no tracks leading up to the mountain tops. And there was not enough oxygen to breathe. The villages were deserted and people had vacated the villages and gone to the safer areas because there was enemy shelling going on in that area. There was not enough water that was available on top, and one had to warm up the snow which was there on the top to drink the water. The efficiency of a soldier goes down hell of a lot in these areas. A man who carries about 25 kgs on his back could barely carry 15 kgs on his back in that area. Casualty evacuation was another problem in that area, in which at least 8 people were required to evacuate one casualty. Overall, it required 4 soldiers to support one fighting soldier. When I got inducted into the Mashko Valley, my initial briefing by the commander there was, look at this height, 4875. There are about 8 to 10 militants in that area. Send your boys there, get them by the neck and bring them down. I also thought it's a very easy task. 8 to 10 militants, and I've got almost about 600 soldiers with me. I will complete this task very easily. So I sent about 100 people, towards point 4875 with one major company commander, Major D.S. Punia. There was one more point, point 4540, which was slightly lower than point 4875, which we were required to capture first and then proceed towards 4875. Bravo Company under Major Punia went towards point 4540. There were exchange of fire between the enemy and our troops, but our troops were able to push those intruders from that point 4540. There were hardly a couple of them who fired few rounds and went back. This was the first success that we got, and we are very jubilant about it. Next day, or the next night, another 30 people under Subedar Harful Singh was sent towards point 4875. As the platoon was advancing towards the objective, there was 8 medium machine guns of the enemy which opened fire. It was hellacious fire on them. They were taken by complete surprise. They did not know what hit them. They took positions on the ground, returned their fire, fought bravely, but in the process, one JCO, Subedar Harful, and 5 other ranks died on the spot, and 10 were seriously wounded. Rest of the platoon is about 30 people. Rest of the platoon came back to point 4540. That was the first failure of my unit. And during the initial stages, the morale of the troops was down because of the casualties, and I could not afford the morale going down. So I took a small protection party, about 10 people with me, and went up to point 4540 to speak to the company commander and the boys. When I went there, I asked them what happened and why they were not able to, judge those 8 machine guns of the enemy which were located there. Everybody gave some reasons or the other. And thereafter, I came back and told my troops to be strong and not to worry. I told them this is war and the casualties will take place. But we have to be more careful in our efforts next time. Then I came down. My brigade commander my boss, was not very happy with this incident, and he wanted me to fix the company commander, Major Punia, for not taking adequate precautions and losing those 6 lives. Before I proceed further, I just want to tell you about this Subedar Harpoon Singh, who had lost his life. Actually, this man had his son who was very sick. And after about 6 months of trial, he was able to get an appointment for his son in some hospital in South India. He was to take his son in the month of May when this war broke out. When we came to know about it, we told him, okay, don't worry, you go and we will handle the situation and you go and get your son treated there. But this man refused to go back. He said, how can I leave my soldiers, in this situation? And when the requirement of my services are more important in the unit than my family. Look at the dedication of this guy. Dedication to duty, dedication to service. He did not bother about his son, but his first priority was his unit and the nation. So that is the soldiers and the leaders that we have in the Indian Army. Okay, now, when I came back, my brigade commander was very annoyed and wanted me to fix the company commander. And I told him, sir, it's not the fault of the company commander. We were not given adequate information. We were told that just 8 to 10 people up there, and there were about 20-25 people sitting with machine guns. So he said, no, somebody has to take up this responsibility and you must fix the company commander. I said, sir, if somebody has to be fixed or take the responsibility for this, then I take this responsibility. I am the commanding officer and they were doing exactly what I had told them to do. And I was doing exactly what you had told me to do. So I take this responsibility, and if you want to fix anyone, you fix me and not the company commander. It is none of their mistake. And I told him, since it is war, casualties will take place. People will die. And we must accept casualties if we need to, proceed further. Actually, my commander was very surprised that I'm taking the whole responsibility on myself. And in fact, he was happy with me and my, guts of accepting the mistake and taking it on to me. In fact, the trust between me and my commander increased with this. Even my officers and my soldiers never expect me to take this blame on myself. It was a very difficult thing, but when they came to know about this, it built the trust between the leader and the men I was leading. In war, the trust between the men and the leaders is very, very important aspect. And this is how you build the trust. You should be able to protect your subordinates from any professional harm that comes to you. Take that responsibility upon yourself. And yes, mistakes will occur in your life. But analyze what happened, why this mistake happened, and then find out solutions to overcome that mistake, and then move ahead. I did exactly the same. I realized that the mistake was inadequate information provided to us. And now I told my commander, sir, I will not move from this direction, that was the eastern direction, because there is a heavy enemy deployment that side. And I would like to move from other directions, but before that, I would like to get detailed information about the enemy. I'll send patrols in all the 3 sides and find out how much enemy is deployed in these areas. He agreed, and for next 10 days, I sent patrols towards the west, I sent patrols towards the south, and towards the east, my patrol was already there by point 4540, and both these patrols, from the south and from the east, they reported back and they said that they have seen about 20-25 people in black Pathani suits. Then I told my commander that, sir, there are 20-25 people on the western side, 20-25 people on the southern side, and eastern side also 20-25 people. So they are good about 70 to 80 people up there. And it is not 8 to 10 people that he told us. He wouldn't believe me. He said, okay, let us go for a aerial recce on a helicopter. So we are going to take our helicopter recce, and me and my brigade commander, we were having about 4 vehicles. We were moving during daytime. Generally we used to move during night time, but because helicopters you can't move at night, you have to go during daytime. So the helipad was located at Daras, which was about 20 minutes driving distance from where I was located in Moscow, and we were going. Suddenly we found, enemy artillery firing at our convoy. There were dust clouds right in front of us, there were dust clouds right on the right side, and dust clouds behind us. We were lucky that none of these bombs fell on our vehicles. And we thank God when we passed out from there and we were able to reach Daras helipad. After we reached Daras helipad, we were told that even Daras helipad is under enemy observation, and the moment the helicopter comes, he directs fire on the helipad to destroy those helicopters. So you will get a helicopter and the waiting time will be just 1 minute. You have to just hop into the helicopter and it will take off. We were ready for that, and soon a helicopter came from behind the mountain. Suddenly it landed into the helipad. Both of us, me and my commander, jumped into the helicopter from either side, and helicopter took off towards point 4875, where we were to see the enemy movements there. The pilot was taken this helicopter, about 5 kilometers away, and we could see only small dots, from that distance. Black dots moving, or some white dots moving there, but we could not identify whether they were men or what. So my commander told the pilot to bring the helicopter down so that we could see more clearly. The pilot agreed to do that, and as he brought the helicopter down, we could see the black dots into small men walking around. But as soon as we came down, there was a SAM, surface-to-air missile, fired by the enemy. It just missed our helicopter by few meters. We were just lucky enough. Otherwise, it would have sent the machine coming down with all of us in that area. Immediately, the pilot sensed this danger. He took his helicopter up again, and then we landed back. We thank God that a life, initially there were firing at us when we were traveling on the vehicle, and then they were firing at us when we were at the helicopter, and at least we came back safely. So After this, he realized, yes, the strength is 70 to 80 people. And we will require more, 3 battalions in fact, not 1 battalion, 3 battalions to attack that feature. So we waited for our turn, and around end of May, I was told to be ready for attacking that feature along with other 2 battalions on 4th of July. Then there was a big administrative task ahead of me to develop the attack at those areas. It used to take from where I was down below and they were sitting on top. It took almost 8 hours walking. So I had to dump my ammunition, in advance about 1 kilometer short of where the enemy was. I took 4 nights and almost about 100 people used to carry the ammunition and water on top and keep it in the Adam base or the firm base that we have made there. It was a big administrative task ahead of me, but I was able to do it in next 4 days, and I sent my troops at night the commanders who could see the objective, at night, because all attacks take place at night only. After that, once my administration or dumping of ammunition was complete, then one night before, I moved my troops ahead at night, and next day we kept lying doggo so that enemy was not able to observe us. I kept these troops about 1 kilometer away from the objective so that we get most of the night to fight. Otherwise, if we would have gone from the bottom, we would have been daylighted by the time we went for the attack. So third night, we went there, and next day morning, the whole day, we kept lying doggo there quietly, and enemy was not able to detect us. My first attack was to take place on 4th of July at 2000 hours. 2000 hours means 8 p.m. My 2 companies, each company is about 100 people. Bravo company, Alpha company and Delta company were made to attack 2 different features. One was People 1 and one was Whaleback on point 4875. Both of them were able to capture with heavy fighting going on there, and we suffered number of casualties, and we were able to capture at about 5 o'clock in the morning. That is 5th July, we were able to capture both the objectives. Now Alpha company wanted to get their sleeping bags from behind, which they had left, because it was very cold, so they sent about 30 people to fetch the sleeping bags. When they were coming back with the sleeping bags at night, they found out of 30 people, 1 boy was missing. And the company commander reported to me, sir, 30 people had gone, but only 29 have come back. 1 probably must be lagging behind, he will come and join us, maybe another 2 hours. I said, okay, fine. But next day, this boy was not, found anywhere. 2 days were over, we had no clue about this boy. He was lost somewhere. Next day, a patrol was going, and they saw behind the stone somebody raising his hands. They thought probably maybe some Pakistani soldier who's raising his hands wanting to surrender. And, so they asked him to come out in open. So this guy raised his hands, came out in open, and he was wearing the Indian combat uniform. We were very surprised. And this man was looking dazed. He was just, looking at one side, staring at one side. Raised his hands, staring at one side. And could not, as if he was not able to understand what was happening. We got hold of him, and this was the same boy who was missing. Then I sent him to the military hospital for treatment. When I was gone there to see him, I asked the doctor, what is wrong with him? He told me that some soldiers, they get post-traumatic stress disorder. When there's a lot of bombardment taking place, artillery shelling taking place, and then they see their own comrade dying in front of them. This is what happens to some of them, They get shocked and they get distressed, and then they are not able to, think properly. But if the treatment is given to them in time, they will probably become okay. I just want to tell you this story because you should know war is not so easy. Our soldiers go through this post-traumatic stress disorder also after the war. Nobody speaks about it. Everybody speaks about, valor and everything. But these are things that actually do happen. Okay, now coming on to the next stack of Delta Company. Alpha Company was okay. Now Delta Company, which I had captured the objective on 5th morning. What happened next day was the company commander, rang me up and told me, sir, I can see about 20 Pakistani soldiers who are grouping again to counterattack us. And I am short of ammunition, and please send me some more ammunition. I was very, surprised that Pakistanis are, trying to counterattack to take back the objective that we have captured yesterday night. So I told him that we'll be sending you, so I took about 30 people, one officer with that, and sent him extra ammunition. The first counterattack came at about 8 o'clock. They were able to repulse that counterattack. Second counterattack came at about 1 o'clock. But by 12 o'clock, my reinforcements had reached them and they had ammunition to beat back this counterattack. Again, the third counterattack he tried was at 4 o'clock. But we were adequately prepared to receive them and beat back all three counterattacks that took place on Delta Company. During this attack, there was one Naik Balwan Singh, Naik Balwan Singh, who was actually, firing at them and, bravely, he held on to the position and was, with the machine gun, he was beating back all the attacks. But one sniper from the other locality, enemy sniper, he hit him on his back. He was, taken by surprise, and we could see this man, blood oozing out from his spine. There was one more Naik Kishanpal from the same village. When he saw this man, Naik Balwan, injured so badly, he wanted to go and help him. But Naik Balwan told him, don't come here, because he will fire at you also and you will also be killed. So as it is, I will not survive, but you don't lose your life. Don't come here. But this guy, Kishanpal, he was to actually go on retirement next month. After the war, probably he thought he'll go back to his family and, after retirement. But this chap, Kishanpal, crawled towards that man, Naik Balwan Singh, brought him back and dragged his body and brought him back. While he was doing so, he was also hit by the enemy sniper, and Kishanpal and Balwan Singh both died. The guy who was to go back to his village after 1 month, their body bags reached their village together. You see, the camaraderie, this is the best example of camaraderie and brotherhood that the soldiers have among themselves. He knew that there was great risk to his life while he was trying to save Balwan Singh, but still he did not bother. He went towards the danger, and it was unfortunate that both died. Such examples of brotherhood and camaraderie you will never see in any organization except Indian Army. Now my third attack was at Pimple 2. So when the company commander was Major Ritesh Sharma, when he was going towards Pimple 2 had 4 bunkers, and we were to capture that. When the company commander started his attack on 6th night, there was enemy artillery shelling that came on him, and he along with 5 other ranks, got injured badly. He rang me up and he said, "Sir, artillery shell has fallen upon us and we are all injured, 5 of us, and what should I do?" I asked him just one question: "Can you lead the attack or not?" He said, "No, sir, because I have been injured quite badly. I will not be able to proceed further." So I told him to come back, get the first aid, and for all these 5 boys also, and come back to the regimental aid post, get the first aid, and hand over the charge to Captain Anuj Nayyar. Captain Anuj Nayyar was just 2 years service. When I had to give charge to this young officer, I was actually quite skeptical whether he will be able to perform his duties properly or not, because he was very young, just 2 years service. And I had promoted him in the war zone to rank of captain. He was lieutenant before that. I promoted him just 15 days back. When I promoted him, I told him that, "Anuj, you are now getting 3 stars on your shoulders. With this come additional responsibilities." He said, "Yes, sir, don't worry, I will not let you down." That was were his words. So I remember that what Anuj told me, during that time. So I was okay that, he'll be able to do something at least. So this boy took hold of that company and started leading the attack. The first attack, he captured 1 bunker. Second attack, he captured another bunker. And third attack, another 3rd bunker he captured. But the 4th bunker was on the top, was very difficult. He sent his patrols from the left, he sent his patrols from the right, but they were not able to capture this 4th bunker. It was getting 5 o'clock in the morning and the daylight was about to break. This officer took hold of 5 other men and said, "Let us go and charge at the 4th bunker. Otherwise, once we get daylighted, we'll not be able to capture it." So he took his 5 men and was charging towards that bunker. While he was doing so, the enemy rocket projectile came and hit on his neck. So I was actually on the listening watch with my radio set and seeing what Captain Anuj Nayyar is doing. I knew that he has captured 3 bunkers, but at about 5:30, I became out of communication from him. I was worried what has happened. I thought probably his radio set has, gone out of order. That's why I'm not able to communicate. So then I sent, a reserve company commander, Major Punia. I told him, "Go with 30 people and see where is Captain Anuj Nayyar. Give him your radio set so that maybe that his radio set is not working, so that I can speak to him." Captain Punia went with 30 people, and when he was going and reached that place where the 4th bunker was there, he called me up. He said, "Sir, I've reached that place and I can see Anuj Nayyar and 5 other ranks next to that bunker lying motionless. They are not moving, so probably they are dead." That was one of the saddest moments of my life. that losing such a young officer who was full of Josh, and losing him like him was really very sad for him. So I told him, okay, you come back and we will launch our attack next night. A word about Umesh Nair. This boy was from Army Public School, Delhi. And he was about to get married to a girl who was a classmate, whose name was Timmy. And they had both got engaged. And before he went for the attack, he came to me, gave up his wallet to me and his engagement ring. He gave it to me. He said, sir, please keep this, and when I come back from attack, I'll take it back from you. I told him, Anuj, no, you must wear this ring and all. This will motivate you more, to do well in your operations. He said, no, sir, I don't want this ring. It's very precious to me. I don't want this ring to get into the dirty hands of the enemy. So I said, okay, whatever he said, I kept his wallet and his ring. Little did I know that he'll never come back to receive these things. So I was sad because of all this. Anyway, next day night we were to launch an attack on the fort bunker, but something happened, to my thinking, or whatever you call it. I told my commander, sir, tonight I will not attack. I'll attack tomorrow morning at about 10 o'clock. He said, no, as per our teachings, all attacks have to go at night. And if you go during daytime, you will get more casualties. I said, sir, I know. This is the fourth day now. Fourth day, continuous attack. Even we have not slept for 4 nights. And similarly, enemy has also not slept for 4 nights. Today night, he knows that I'll be coming for the fourth bunker and he'll be ready to receive us. But I will pound him with my fire, but physically I will not assault. And keep him engaged throughout the night. What happens during daytime journey, people rest because they know nobody is going to come for attack. So I said, when he is resting, that is the time I will attack. My commander initially was not very, willing to accept it, but somehow later on he got the logic what I was giving, and he said, okay, but don't lose more men. I said, no, sir, we will not. So the whole night I kept pounding on them, and next day, early morning, I sent 2 platoons, there are 30 men from each side, and on to Pimple 2, that was the 4th bunker. Rightly, as per my calculation, these guys were sitting on the river slope, relaxing. They did not know that we are coming. They were completely surprised when my platoons reached on top, charging and shouting, Jat Balwan, Jai Bhagwan. That is our war cry, regimental war cry, Jat Balwan, Jai Bhagwan. The moment they heard this, they were seen running from there because they were not prepared for this. And some of them were shot down and some of them ran away. This is how I captured my whole objective, and that was the happiest moment of my life. I had my Tiranga on top and I rang up my GOC, Major General Mohinder Puri, and told him, sir, I am on top and I am with my Tiranga Jhanda on that objective. See, we were given on-the-spot unit citation by the Chief of Army Staff, Battle Honor Mashko, and Theatre Honor Kargil for this brave act of our unit. And then we were given 41 individual awards. Highest award was Vir Chakra, which was given to Captain Umesh Nair. We got 4 more Vir Chakras, 6 Sena medals, 19 mentioned in dispatches, and then rest were commendation card by the Chief of Army Staff. It was one of the highest awards any unit had got during that time. This was the war. Now I'll just briefly, because the time is, I think, running out, I'll just take another 5 minutes and briefly tell you what happened after the war. You know, after we have got everything, you know, we were very happy and all. We were looking at the objective. You know, there a lot of people had died. A lot of people have become casualties also. So I could see the dead bodies coming in, you know, sleeping bags, improvised stretchers. Some guys who were injured were limping. Some guys were shot on their face. Some guys have lost their eyes. Some guys have broken their arms. Some guys have broken their legs. They're all coming back from the battle zone. When I saw this, you know, my happiness of winning this war had slowly turned into the sorrow for losing so many men. I lost one officer, one JCO, and 34 other ranks. And almost 100 people were wounded, you know, in that battle. A very heavy price to pay. And I still, you know, feel sad when I look back that I could not bring all my troops back safely to their families. I lost these 36 brave men, and to honor them and their sacrifice, I wrote this book, Mashko Kargil as I Saw It. This book is dedicated to these people who have given their lives. It is their stories which I have given in this book. It is not about the heroic action. It is about the mistakes that we committed during the war, so that when other people, you know, get into the similar situation, they don't commit the same mistakes again. So this book is about the mistakes that we committed, not the heroic deeds. And lastly, I would like to give a message to you all that if any time, you know, you see a soldier, you must respect him. He is protecting you all and guarding the borders and living in very difficult conditions, maybe Rajasthan, high altitude mountains and other border areas. A very difficult condition, but he still does his job properly. So please respect him for what he is doing and respect those families who have lost their near and dear ones, the martyrs' families, Veer Naris as we call them, their children, you know, they have given everything for the country. Wherever you go, wherever position you are when you grow up, if you happen to meet such people, do go out of the way to help them in any way that you can. That is all I would like to, you know, share with you. And if anybody has got any questions, I'll be very glad to answer.
Thank you. Sir, recently I saw a movie depicting Kargil war. The sound of a gunfire was terribly frightening. That day I felt that even one bullet could suck the life out of a body. So my question is that you have lived those moments. Weren't you afraid at any point of time as a human?
You see, yes, you know, you are scared that time. But you know, when you have so many men around you, you're not fearful that time, because you know that there are so many people around you, they will also protect you, and if some harm happens, it will happen to everyone. And we are doing something for the cause. If we don't kill him, he will kill us. So our aim is to kill him somehow. So that it comes, but you know, after some time it fades away.
And sir, like, what is the motivation, which, ma'am, sir, like, which asks you to protect the borders while the youth of this country is more interested in mincing money? Like, how, from where the devotion comes? How can we become such a brave person like you, sir?
See, our motivation comes from our training. I was born in a civilian family, but 4 years that I got my training, 3 years in India and 1 year in IMA, they were, motivating factor. And they, instilled in us that patriotism that every soldier has. And when you join the unit, again, you are patriotic. You're not fighting for religious causes. You're fighting for some cause that's protecting yourself and the nation.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
So what started the Kargil War?
Yeah. Any more question? Okay, the Kargil was started by the Pakistanis. They came into our territory and we were forced to evict them. So they actually, during that time, our Prime Minister, Shri Atal Bihari Vajpayee, he was, trying to become very friendly with Nawaz Sharif, the Pakistani Prime Minister, that time. But Pakistanis, they have a habit of stabbing behind your back. And that is exactly what they did.
So what is the key to your success and who motivated you?
The key to my success was my men. They had trust in me, in my leadership qualities, in my planning processes, and they knew that whatever I do, I will do the best. They had the trust, and I had trust in my men. I knew that they will do, whatever I tell them, and they will not let me down. And this trust between the leader and the men does not come so easily. It takes time, and it takes a lot of time that you as a leader have to be very fair with them, you have to be very compassionate with them, and you have to take care of them in their hard times, and also train them well during the peace time.
And so who motivated you?
Motivation was, I had two things which motivated me. And I told my Jawans before going for the attack. One was those words by Ram Prasad Bismil, where he said, सरफरोशे की तमन्ना अब हमारे दिल में है, सरफरोशे की तमन्ना अब हमारे दिल में है, देखना है जोर कितना बाजुए का दिल में है. The second motivation came from the golden words of Shri Guru Gobind Singh, who said, De Shiva var mohe him, De Shiva var mohe him, शुभ कर्मन के मैं कबू ना डरूं और सो जब जाए लड़ूं, निश्चय कर अपनी जीत करूं.
So as it is said that there are no winners in a war. From Kargil war perspective, do you also feel the same?
Absolutely. What does the war give you? It gives you destruction. And that is all that gives you. Whatever Pakistanis thought that they'd come and occupied our territory, and they will occupy our territory. But we are not fools, we'll let them do that. We evicted them. After all, Pakistani lost about 450 men. We also lost about equal number. What was that? And we came back to the same positions after the war. Who died? Only the innocent soldiers and the officers, young officers. So nobody wins. Actually, it is all destruction. If somebody asked me today that, do you want to see a war? I would say no. Because War brings only destruction, nothing else.
Sir, out of your experience as being an army officer, what qualities you would like us to inculcate so that we can bring pride to our country?
Yeah, that's a good question. The qualities are a number of them. They are leadership qualities. That's a separate lecture to be taken on the leadership qualities. Where a leader, builds his trust with his men, and to say, a few is decisiveness. Taking risks. I took risks. Like I, went for a daylight attack. We succeeded. Then I learned from my mistakes. Like first attack was a failure. Then I analyzed what has happened. In your life also, you will have so many times you will fail in a particular project. But you should learn from those failures and move ahead and find alternate solution to that.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, what do you remember about the day you enlisted in the army? Like the day you were selected for the army and you joined?
Say again, I couldn't.
Sir, what do you remember about the day that you were selected to join the army?
The day you were selected to join the army. What do you remember about that day?
Okay.
When that news broke to you?
Yeah, I was seeing a movie with my friends in Chanakya Theatre that time. And, one of my, friends told me, कि यार आज NDA का result आया. I said, I don't know. And I was merrily watching movie, 3-4 of us, school friends. Then we suddenly, went to the manager of the movie, tried to get the, newspaper from him. And I remember my roll number was 1300. And we were looking for it. Somebody said, 1300 aa gaya. So that is how, I came to know I, got selected for NDA.
And sir, one more thing. Sir, there must have been something from your childhood that you, that you really wanted to join the army, or sir, it was different, like from the childhood you wanted to be something else, but later in life you wanted to join the army.
See, when I was a small child like you, my elder sister, she got married to an army doctor. So sometimes, I used to go, during my summer holidays and stay with him. And I used to see, him getting salutes when he used to pass the quarter guard and all. I got impressed with the uniform and the salutes and the respect that he gets. And from that on, I decided, if at all, I can, my first preference will be the Indian Army because of the respect and the love for the OG uniform.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words and sharing some of the most difficult and touching moments of a soldier's life. Now, I would like to request our Principal Ma'am and Director Sir to felicitate Brigadier Umesh Singh Bawa.
This is a painting made by our students. This is just an add-on.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Now I humbly request our Honorable Director, Major General Sanjay Agarwal, to kindly propose the vote of thanks.
Vir Bawa sir, principal ma'am, teachers, and the students. It's very nostalgic to have a senior decorated army officer with us, recounting his experiences. You know, so many of them are very close to my heart as well. At the time of Kargil, I was not in Kargil. I was very far off from Kargil. I was in Bangalore. I was a lieutenant colonel, sir was a colonel at that time. But I have seen, dead bodies coming to Kargil, from Kargil to Bangalore. There was a fervor in the country that time. Since my childhood, that was the first time I saw how the civil population reacted to what army was facing. And it was a great feeling. I was in the center there, and we were responsible to receive these bodies. And there was a queue of people who wanted to receive, because it was a publicity thing. But the basic feeling was very good. You felt that you were respected. Today when I hear sir, he was there himself, and he has told you so many things about that war. It was not a very big war. When we say wars, it was not a war like that where thousands of people fought against each other. It was a very narrow, a small place war, but it costed us a lot. Each man died. Like sir remembers the people who were with him. He possibly remembers every one of them who passed away, who gave his life for the country. And it's difficult to even imagine the grief that he went through. He talked about Captain Anuj Nair. We all have heard about him. There are many such stories. War in mountains is very, very difficult. You must be thinking when he said that there were about 70, 80 people there and we needed 3 battalions to attack. That means nearly 2,000 people attacking 80 or 90 people. And you must be thinking, why so many people? To only capture or kill 80 people. Normally in wars, the ratio between an attacker and a defender is 3:1, normally. But in mountains, it can go up to 10:1, 15:1, if you want to ensure success. Because it's so difficult. One man at one place can stop the complete convoy. And in those conditions, he and his men fought the war, won the war for us. So we are all thankful to you, sir. And it gives me goosebumps today because listening to you was reliving that moment in my own life. And this war was a bit of an intelligence failure, like sir said himself. We didn't know what had hit us. And because of intelligence failure, the higher strata of ours remained uninformed for quite some time, which costed us a lot. Had we been more aware, in today's environment, that has been so many years back, nearly 25 years back, when you look back today, maybe we are much more equipped. Such things won't happen again. But that time it was difficult for us to even imagine that a thing like this could happen in Kargil. I had an officer from our regiment, these engineers. He was going on that road in a vehicle, and a stray bullet came from somewhere and hit the driver's that rear view mirror, hit him in his eye. And he was blinded, one eye was gone. So many incidents like that. And we all saw through that. So I will only say, sir, hats off to you and your men of 17 Jat and the Indian Army, which I also very proudly belong to. We have all been grateful to the people who fought the war for us in Kargil, got us such a good name. And I would like to also say that our young officers did us proud. We were still reasonably senior at that time, but the people like Anuj Nair, Vikram Batra, you heard of these names. They were the ones who really made us proud. Our Jawans made us proud. Stories like the JCO sir talked about, they are the real heroes. We don't even come to know about them. Today sir has told us about some of them. I hope you'll remember once you go back home. And you will ponder over it. You see, every talk when you hear from a brave person, you should take something back home. You should remember what good you can learn from it. I'm sure all of you have taken your own lessons. I will not list out the lessons because there are so many. But I'm sure everyone has taken something. Take some quality. I was very happy when someone asked, how can I be so brave like you? Bravery is all inside. You have to develop that bravery yourself. And when someone asks, why did you join army? I used to go for talks where I used to tell people, motivate people for joining army. And I used to always say, army is a calling. Army is not a profession. You got to have it in you. You got to believe that, yes, I am willing to give my life for the country. If that feeling is there in your mind, that passion is there in your mind, then army is the place. Otherwise, when you go there, you will be a dissatisfied man. You will feel, I have joined a wrong profession. So if you want to go to army, go. But remember, this is a place which gives you so much of, satisfaction at the end of the day. And I think I'll carry on because this is something which is, I rarely get a chance to speak about such people. Sir, the nation is grateful to you, our school is grateful to you, our trust is grateful to you for sparing time today and to come here. You have seen some of our children who are so enthusiastic, especially the young children. I am sure some of them, after your talk, will definitely join army and do our country proud. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I request all of you to rise for the national anthem. I would like to request Brigadier Umesh Singh Bawa to proceed to Principal Ma'am office.
लूज कर